Hello.
Hello, Rada.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm so excited about our conversation today about ascension and relationships. Such a juicy topic.
Oh, it is. And whether you're in one or you just got out of one, there's just so much to talk about and so much to with this topic.
I so agree. Um, you know, I've been noticing a lot of people breaking up lately. Have you in your
Yeah,
field?
yeah, absolutely. A lot of clients have come to me. They've come out of really long-term relationships, and so there's just like a lot of shock around that. Like, everything was going fine, and then it often comes down to maybe a soul contract has ended with a person, and
Hmm.
some sort of breakup has happened to redirect somebody in their life, and so it's there's a lot of soul work behind that, whether a breakup happens for somebody to grow,
Hmm.
to start again. Have you seen that sort of situation play out, with your own clients?
I have. I've
Hmm.
noticed. I've noticed a lot of three things. One, there are people that have been long-term relationships, really long, and all of a sudden, boom, it's time to let go. The
Hmm.
third one is people are a certain group of people are being asked to walk their own path right now, and then the third one is where people are just coming together like little fireflies.
Yeah.
They're lit.
They're lit. I've seen that. I've seen all those three too, and especially it's funny with the people coming together suddenly. It's exciting and it's beautiful, and it's just so exciting to see people, meeting that person that they've been waiting for to grow
Oh.
with. Someone maybe more in alignment than a previous relationship, and that's what it's about.
Hmm.
Finding somebody you can grow with, and I think that's the whole thing with Ascension is it's a major shift in all aspects of your life,
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
personal self-love, right? And then with relationships, it's asking you, are you here to step up and grow with somebody, and not just
Hmm.
stay comfortable or stay small. And so there could be so many things that, trigger a breakup of something more long
Hmm.
term, or a coming together. So very interesting
It's
stuff.
very beautiful. I love love.
Mhm. Yes.
My name is Radha after the goddess of longing and
Oh,
love. She's like the most devoted to her divine. But a lot of the time she was longing for him. And I think devotion is such an interesting thing. I was taking a bath this morning because I just stopped taking showers and I only take baths
I love it.
because they're so much better and so much more enjoyable. And this morning I was thinking about devotion and what that really means in this particular time period, because I feel like we've come to a place where we're being called to cultivate more devotion within ourselves, and at the same time it's almost like a dichotomy. We're in the Tinder world, right, where you just swipe swipe swipe
Yeah.
swipe 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 everyone away. And it's just such a contrast to the people who are in the devotion. Like, even if you don't have your divine love with you, you can be in devotion to yourself, and also to your beloved, and you don't have to put a face to that beloved. It's a feeling, and it's a devotion that you see wherever you go. Like, when you go outside and the sun is shining and there's a beautiful flower and you feel a love to your beloved.
Yeah.
um there's something so beautiful and even erotic about devotion, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I just, when you say devotion, the energy behind that feels so good. And it's broad enough too, though, because that I guess that passion and energy behind it can be used and channeled in so many other areas. So devotion to yourself, right? How well are you taking care of yourself when you're in a relationship,
Hmm.
right? So that you don't lose yourself in a relationship.
Oh.
And then when you're out of one as well, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm extra compassion devoted to myself. And also with relationships too, I know we're focusing mostly on romantic relationships, but even just relationship with your friends and your family and your pets,
Hmm.
right? Like, how much
Hmm.
more loving
Oh.
and devoted you could be to everything around you, that's also so special. And you know, with your children as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love talking about love too, and so we can. I mean, it's such a great thing that we can apply to so many things. And I think whether it's romantic relationships or not, devotion asks us to be, you know, the most caring and loving version of ourselves in
Mm-hmm.
any area. And so a lot of us who are, you know, really preparing ourselves for ascension, devotion is
Mm-hmm.
key, because ascension isn't
Mm-hmm.
a 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in process, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
all of you. So if we can cultivate devotion, starting with ourselves and in little ways, I think that it'll actually lead to more relationships, you know, deeper
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because you know how to go there, right? It acquires depth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so beautiful. And I feel like I'm looking outside the window right now of my office, and I'm so in love with my view. And I can
Mm-hmm.
see that when you stop and think about devotion and you're outside or in nature, or you can start to feel this well of love. And like I do that with my dogs all the time. I'm so devoted to my dogs.
Yes.
They get massages, they get
Mm.
cooked meals. I mean, I tell them every day like how incredible they are, how much I appreciate their presence in my life. And you know, devotion can come in so many ways. And I think it's really being present to the presence of love that's in your life always. It's never not there.
Yes. Oh, that's so powerful. It's always there, and we can forget, we can get caught up in other things. And I notice something is when I start to pay attention to love, like within myself. Say I'm doing a self-love practice I teach, where
Mhm.
I am looking in a mirror and I'm saying I love you to myself, and I don't expect what's going to come after, right? I'm just doing it, and then I
Mhm.
notice that it instantly puts me in the present and keeps me grounded. And just that
Mhm.
presence, that feeling, um, is another reminder of the power
Mhm.
of love. And I think that when we talk about ascension, it really is an awakening into higher love. And
Mhm.
that's what's so
Mhm.
exciting about it too.
It's so true. And love, gosh, love is my favorite favorite subject because
Yes.
it's so expansive too, you know. And so many times like there's this longing, you know, a longing, and how can you apply that longing to work for you? Like with longing you're cultivating something, but then applying it to something can help you grow.
Hmm.
And I think we're all being asked to grow this beautiful garden inside of ourselves, and to weed out that which we are not in alignment with, which are not our
Yes.
true beliefs or our true values. And we are really coming back to values, right? Because you know, in the ascension process, we our values might shift a lot, you know. And knowing that we want different things as we're growing, that we're going to need different things as we're growing. And first starting with ourselves, because it's easy to try to throw the hook and the line out and try to catch a fish, but you haven't really figured out yet what you really want. And you know, I see a lot of people doing that I know, that are just like they're going on one date after the next date after the next date, and none of them are fruitful, because they're not spending time cultivating. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's right or wrong. Everything's a beautiful experience, and sometimes we learn from contrast. But for me, I would rather really build my garden and have it beautiful and have my divine walk in. You know.
Absolutely. It's so important, because when we throw ourselves into a relationship, different things, you know, loneliness is out there. It's real,
Mm-hmm.
and it's painful, and it doesn't feel good. And so if we're throwing ourselves into something when we're not ready, it's like, do you really want to walk into anything unprepared? That
Mm-hmm.
way, there's listening to your intuition, right, and your guidance. And you know, you could go into the unknown and be surprised by how wonderful something will be, and that's always great. But there is this important self love, self worth cultivation that really needs
Mm-hmm.
to be there, this foundation, so that you know what it's like when you're being treated well, because you've
Oh,
done it with yourself. You know, you need to know
yes.
when you're not being treated well, when you feel like, whoa, my power is not being seen, is not being respected. And so
Mhm.
if you can figure that out ahead of time within yourself, look what you're bringing to the relationship. And you're also more of a teacher now with your partner as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
That's why it's so important to focus on that self-healing before just jumping in to a relationship. But if you know what, some people learn just by diving into the deep end. So
Mhm.
absolutely no
Yeah.
judgment there.
No,
But
absolutely.
coming back to our like theme of like, okay, what does ascension mean to relationships? Well, if you're changing and growing in every aspect of yourself, if your heart, our heart
Mhm.
portals, which is how we're even going through the ascension process, um,
Mhm.
if you're not paying attention to that, it is going to reflect in another relationship. So I think it always is going to come back to the relationship with the self. It's so important.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that term heart portal because
Mm-hmm.
really we want to have our heart open to receive these sacred codes that are coming in.
Yes.
And there's so much coming in. And I say it's like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's always coming in. But do you have, you do have the space to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Receiving is so important too. And, all of us, I don't think I know anyone that's never had heartache, heartbreak, heart chakra pain. It's sort of part of the journey and the initiation. And but then also how to come out of that, or how to heal from that. And also I think heartache and heartbreak can really be a catalyst for beautiful, incredible change within ourselves too, where we're breaking open quite literally, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a raw aspect that it's like, oh, I protected this for so long, and now it's just it's all broken open, and I'm feeling raw and vulnerable. But vulnerability is really important too. And I think in our culture we're taught to be tough and to be the baddest and to be the whatever but
Yeah.
but isn't that also a block? It's sort of like a block to
Yeah.
receive.
Absolutely. And if we're talking about the divine feminine energy that's in all of us, male and female,
Mm-hmm.
one of those aspects is receptivity. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing the power in that, as well as vulnerability. Vulnerability is so powerful. All of these aspects that have through the patriarchal timelines made
Mm-hmm.
people come off as weak. that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the power, and that's how you break open that heart open, that sacred initiation. And
Mm-hmm.
that to be able to be with such feelings that maybe are uncomfortable, like vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, when you foster that and really integrate that, you're bringing in something so beautiful and innocent into a relationship. The heart-centered path. Um, that's how you get there, through that softness, that receptivity, that vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
that actually is the most powerful, because it's uncomfortable. And anything that's is so scary.
Mm-hmm.
um it's easier to be cold and turn off the emotions,
Mm-hmm.
but for some
Yeah.
reason that's praised, and that's what's shifting, that's what we're changing in ascension. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I think if we familiarize ourselves first in our hearts with these emotions, shadow
Mm-hmm.
aspects, working through
Mm-hmm.
any of these emotions that we one time judged as negative, that's really going to help cultivate that garden for that sacred
Mm-hmm.
relationship that
Mm-hmm.
that can come in many forms. So if you're single, that might be a romantic partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be a friend who's here to guide you in your life, a
Mm-hmm.
coworker,
Mm-hmm.
a new pet. Pets are soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Oh, yes, they
you
are.
know, it, it could really be anything, because animals are also going through an ascension process. They're getting
Mm-hmm.
codes. Um, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
We'll all be talking to our beloved pets on the new earth, and wouldn't that be
Oh, yeah.
amazing? I already took,
And
yeah,
plants and
plants,
animals,
yeah,
and everything is sentient. And
yes,
so I think it's coming to the realization that, oh my goodness, everything is
yeah,
sentient. And that is so gorgeous. When I was a little girl, before I got all the Barbies, when I was even a littler than that, I used to play with plants.
Mm.
Like I would pick two flowers and they'd be my dolls for the day,
Ah,
and I would talk to them and I would play. And I was really like that magical child that believed in fairies. And I did believe in fairies, and I still do, because I've had the presence of these, of like that energy or these beings, because when you're a child and you have that innocence, you can see things that you can't see when you're more,
mhm.
I would say crude as you grow older.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we become a little more hard, a little bit more crude, and our sentient soft nature, that our childlike magic, can sort of get pushed to the back.
Yeah.
But that's what it was like when I was a little girl, because I lived in the Cordelia Mountains of the Philippines, and it was magic. I was talking to the plants and to the animals, and I lived as one with my environment. I would go outside and run naked and take showers when it was raining and there was a hot springs. I would, run, and everything was just, it just flowed. It was like the Garden of Eden. And I'm so
Wow.
lucky to have that experience, and I hold it dear in my heart, because I know that what it means to have this beauty, to be connected to the beloved. The beloved is everywhere all the time, and she, the beloved, is always wanting to love us, is always giving to us. And it's not necessarily that it goes away. It's sometimes it's that we shut down to receiving. And I know I have many times in my life shut down to receiving in various times in my life. And that's why I'm here in the beautiful mountains, because it really opens my heart and I can receive so much more. Um, and so finding ways that we can receive. And I think, like what you do, your energy healing, and what I do, we help a lot of people to open back to that sacred space where they feel safe enough to even open up,
Yeah.
right?
That I think that's what's so rewarding about the work is um to witness the moment you see somebody open back up, right?
Mm,
And see the love that they are. That's what it's
mm-hmm,
about. I never thought in my life that I'd be able to do this type of work, this magic.
mm,
And I love what
mm-hmm.
you shared with your upbringing. I've always felt a close connection to animals, even with my cat. I mean, we telepath. He knows what's going on through his eyes. Um, and
Oh,
that's just to me just so sweet. And I am so, I don't know, I guess I just feel floored sometimes by the beauty of the sentience and the magic
mm,
in the world around me. And so
mm-hmm,
bringing that, like ascension is that reminder to our childhood selves, right? Of that magic we believed in, like it's coming back.
mm-hmm,
So that's why
mm-hmm,
these times are so exciting. And so we should pay attention really to the relationships we're in, or the ones that we're not in, to learn as much as possible right now, because the
mm-hmm,
world is going to change. It's guaranteed it's going to shift. And so
mm-hmm,
let's be present now and do
mm,
what we can to, live in our truth, have truthful,
mm-hmm.
honest relationships,
Yeah.
honor what we like and don't like, and
Uh-huh.
also, enjoy this human experience we're in now before it changes to something, of course, amazing, but something we don't really know what, it's even going to look like, right? So,
That's so
um,
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I've kind of taken this new approach of just being in awe of everything, even
Mm.
the, let's say the shitty things that happen,
Mm.
just because I'm like, well, I feel like when I go into that mode of like, oh, I'm a visitor here on this planet, I can get this sort of like anthropological view back, but at the same time, it's actually childlike wonder where I'm like, wow, like this is an adventure. And so when you
Yeah.
are in some relationship issues, it's kind of like, well, get in there, you as an adventurer, as an explorer, like what can I do to navigate through this and
Mm-hmm.
come out the other end with with my heart, you know, open and intact, and what can I learn? It's a good
Mm-hmm.
idea right now to be very interactive in your life, in whatever you're in. Not be
Yes.
complacent in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
not numb yourself out. Just, you know,
Yeah.
get in there and see, what do I want? And if that means I have to leave, cut somebody
Mm,
off, or make moves,
mm,
do it. See what's going to
mm-hmm.
happen. You got to take some action.
Oh,
That's the divine
yes.
masculine, taking the action.
Mm-hmm.
Divine feminine, the receptivity, goes hand in hand.
Oh, so beautiful. I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. I love it. And that's so true. I always thought, you know, my life is an adventure, and it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where I am. I could be in the Philippines. I could be in the Appalachian Mountains. I could be in LA. I could be anywhere. And no matter where I am, it's an adventure. And
Mm-hmm.
it was so cute what you said. You know, you think of yourself as a visitor, because I so think of myself as a visitor. I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, I'm just an alien visiting here.
Yes.
And but actually, when I look through my quote unquote alien eyes, I actually see things in such a more wonderment than I
Yeah.
do with my human eyes, because then things become really mundane. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this is how it's supposed to be. Da 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 da. But when I look and I'm like, wow, I do think of that sometimes. Like, I'm just here for this little period of time, and like I'm gonna bring all this information with me when I go to my next place. And actually, it's really important, because a lot of the memories are going to get deleted. Like, a lot of the stuff, like, we'll get the lessons, but I think sometimes our, like, the trauma, a lot of the trauma that we've been through, um, a lot of pain bodies that we've been carrying, it's like going to start melting. But of course, we want to take masculine action on that too.
Mm-hmm.
But through the process, as we receive more codes, like, all of those memories that bind us, they're binding us. Um, some of them are going to start melting away, and I was like, I need to write some of them down, because, like, someday I won't remember any of
Mm-hmm.
the things that happened as my human self, you know.
Oh
And
yeah.
as an alien, I need to document it so I can remember. And just, it's all part of, like, what we, you know, I think our souls, we're travelers. We're all traveling, you know, through different lifetimes and different dimensions, and we cultivate all of this information so we can grow and share. And then ultimately, we want to be sharing. We don't want to just be hoarding information. You know, I think
Yeah.
love and generosity is sharing, like, what I learned. And a lot of times, you know, I share, like, the things I regret, or I messed up on, or I had issues with, because I don't frame it that way anymore. You know, I frame it as it was a lesson. But I like to share a lot of the vulnerabilities of my life with others, because I think it's important to humanize ourselves, so that we can keep reminding ourselves, like, you don't have to be perfect. It's not about
Yeah.
having all your shit together all the time. None of us do all the time. Give me a break, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we make quantum leaps. And to share, like, well, this is where I was before, and this is where I am now, and then I'm probably going to go here, you know? It's cool. And I think
Yeah.
we're all learning from each other.
Absolutely. And that vulnerability that you're able to share with everyone, that is such an egoless feat, because so many people are afraid to be like, hey, I learned this lesson that way, because maybe they're embarrassed or feel shame. But in the sort of like alien visitor perspective I have, that actually helps me be the best human I can be,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that, you know, the reason also we want the human experience is because humans can really survive everything. Like, what our heartbreak,
Mm-hmm.
like the way we come back for heartbreak, I know how much I wanted to experience that. And you shared
Mm-hmm.
that beautiful anecdote about your upbringing and as a child. And for me, I was always looking at the sky. I wanted to be an astronaut. I was obsessed with space. I had space mural on my wall. Like, I could
Oh.
just, it was like just so clear as a child that I was not from here, you know, that like that starseed hardwiring. And so
Yeah.
now I get being here, we're not one or the other now. Like, we're becoming
Mm-hmm.
divine humans. And
Oh,
that's what's so cool. Yeah, Ascension is us embodying all of our stars, dope outer
mm,
space galactic
mm,
cosmic selves in form in a human body. And in order to do
Ooh.
that, we got to evolve. And so that's what is happening with our relationships. They're evolving. Some are saying, get out for your highest good. And some are saying,
Yes.
you know what? Guide this person, guide yourself. If you have love in your heart and this feels good and you're waiting, say, for a partner to catch up. And I mean that with love,
Yeah.
if you're
Yes.
comfortable with somebody still in a different part of their story, but there's so much love there that also nourishes you, that's beautiful. You don't want to just end a relationship suddenly because you have this judgment that someone's, not going fast enough. Hello, we're all on our own pace,
No.
if
Makes
that
me
is
laugh.
really, yeah. But I mean, if that's like traumatizing you, right, and
Yeah.
slowing you down or bringing you down, then that's what your body's telling you. So
Yeah.
um so it's about honoring it all, really.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
And then, I just wanted to touch on something about the breakup stuff because,
Hmm.
I mean, there have been people that I've been so in love with that I really, really love them because I just felt like, they're my soul family. I have soul recognition for them. Like I'm deeply in love with this person, but they don't want to step up to the plate. They don't want to be
Mm.
honest, even with themselves, right? And I'm like, how can we communicate if you can't just be honest? You can't be vulnerable. Like they were so afraid to be vulnerable that they always had to put this facade on, and it became almost like narcissistic, right? Where they just
Hmm.
wouldn't have deep conversations and stuff. And you're like, I love your soul so damn much, but out of self-respect and self-honor, and because I love my own heart and I have to protect my heart, I can't do this anymore with you,
Yeah.
and it's not. And I think what I'm trying to say is that there's always love there. Like you can still love a person so deeply but choose to not be in a relationship with them because of their personal choices that they're making are so hurtful. And
Absolutely.
it's not that love dies or anything like that. Sometimes for yourself and say, okay, I think I'm going to be better off being single right now, or and honoring. And I think there's a stigma I just want to talk about being single too. It's like you got to check up, and
Yeah.
your self-worth depends on your relationship, right? So there's this like romantic fairy tale, and I love the romantic fairy tales, trust me, but I also think that it's important that, especially for women, like a lot of the people I work with are women that have difficulties in relationships. And I just want to say, like, your self-worth has nothing to do with your romantic relationship. Just get that out of the way. Like, you are whole and complete as you are right now. And I think, we're sort of reconfiguring our beliefs about all of it, and so what do you have to say about that, where there's like certain stigmas or walking away from something that's not serving you?
Oh, I absolutely agree. That thing is so huge because I think even in like movies, television, we're really only shown true love through a coupling, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Not because I mean, love is so huge. That essence, that vibration can be accessed by anyone in
mm-hmm,
any situation. Love for your plants, even. So,
mm-hmm,
um, there, we need to like get rid of this like notion that you're only in love if you're in love with somebody else,
mm-hmm. Or
or
somebody
you're
loves
only
you.
whole, or somebody loves you, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it feels good when somebody loves you, but
Heck yeah.
like, yeah, but like true cosmic love, that's not dependent on anyone.
Mm-hmm,
Um, love doesn't exist because people are in relationships. Love just exists.
mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm,
um, it's just like on Earth, it is enjoyable to pass the
mm-hmm.
time with somebody, right? Not even just pass the time, but to live
Yes.
and co-create. And so,
Yes.
and everyone can access that. I think it's this idea that we don't have time, or we're
Mm-hmm.
aging or anything like that. We
Mm-hmm.
need to just erase that kind of thinking.
Mm. That's so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I know, because in all the movies they're like, they're like, 20 years old and they're in love.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not, the truth is like, I think love can be so much more rich and like delicious because you've had more life experience and you're more mature and you're more grounded and you know who you are. And I think, when we're young, like I had no idea. I was just like, whatever. I have no idea. I'm just figuring it out. And to come together with somebody else that has no idea, it's fun, but it's hard to ground into
Mm-hmm.
that, and so there's something actually beautiful about coming together, when you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
It's very, very sexy and very beautiful, and you can bring so much wisdom to each other. And I think as we get older, we learn how to hold ourselves and learn how to hold another,
Yeah.
um, so much more, and also have compassion. Like when I was younger, I think I had this idea like it needs to be this way, and I'm like, and none of this is cutting it for me. But I think understanding like I'm imperfect, and the person that I will be with will be imperfect, but also will be perfect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's not about perfection. I think we really need to wipe that right out because those fairy tales will brainwash you into
For
thinking
sure.
that it needs to be magical and perfect. And we learn from each other. Like partners, we mirror each other and we pull out our deepest wounds and our deepest fears and our deepest darkness when we look into the mirror of each other, that it's actually, we're helping each other purge it out, right?
Absolutely. And it's about finding someone you can grow with. It's not about, okay, here's the fairy tale. Because let's face it, most of those are tales, right? They're not real. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just romanticize everything and take the reality out of it. And I'm not saying that you can't find that at any, at any age, but um, like if you're not growing, then that means you're not alive. So
Mm-hmm.
like, or immediately like erase any notion that it has to be this perfection. And one thing
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up too is in our spiritual community, some people come to me and it's just talking about soulmates and twin flames all the time. And if
Mm-hmm.
that's where only your focus is, and you're looking at every person you meet as, well, are they my twin flame, is that my twin flame,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're
Mm-hmm.
projecting stuff on a person who's not ready to grow yet. So kind of like when you're out in
Mm-hmm.
the world trying to meet people, don't put that expectation out there.
Oh,
Just put the heart
yes.
connection out there. That's all you
Oh,
need.
that's no, that's so awesome because I was just thinking about that projections. Um, I've had so many people project onto me, and maybe I've projected on other people, but the feeling of projection when someone projects on you about like, oh, you're my one, it kind of like makes you recoil a little bit
Yeah.
because it's too much. It's too much. No one can handle that. I don't like projections. OPP, other people's projections.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's an energy that I've really had to play with my whole life because like when I did have the breast implants and I was this va va boom, figure, I was getting so many projections from men where they would idolize me as their dream doll, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not a doll. I'm actually a human. I'm actually a physical being. And then when I had them removed, I felt so much freedom. Like, oh yes, I'm myself now, and I don't get those creepy projections anymore. But I think we need to be mindful. And I know I've done it to other people too, where I project onto them, and it never really turns out because if you're projecting so hard on someone, you can't let it grow organically. And this need to possess each other, right? Like
Mm.
where I don't know what it is about this culture, but like the possession of each other. Like I need to possess you, or if I have a crush on you, I need to possess you, or else I hate you. And back when I was dating, just a little bit, I found that like it was like this all or nothing with people, and like I'm like, oh, I'm not really ready, or whatever it was, and then they would get very angry and like totally try to like punish me because I was like, I'm not really ready, or not, I'm not into this or something like that, and I'm like, why can't you just be with somebody? Like, even if it doesn't work out in a romantic way, you can still be friends. You can still love and honor someone. and really appreciate them for who they are. You don't have to quote unquote possess them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There has to be flow for something to work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and I mean the possession thing, hello, like power dynamics and that past life stuff. How many of us have been
Oh.
possessed and owned and had our power really taken away in past lives? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about a relationship, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, way to go, trigger all that that time when my divine feminine felt suppressed. You know, relationships gotta honor freedom. It's gotta honor freedom and growth and unconditional love. When that's there, it honors everything. So it's
Mm.
important to always remember that.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. Yeah, honoring and it's true. You know, we've talked before about past life triggers, and I think it's so relevant in this conversation because you know, ascension and relationships, we are going to meet people that are going to trigger us so deeply. And sometimes, like, there's a saying that a great guru has, like, your enemy is your best friend sometimes, because that's what
Yeah.
sometimes it can feel like when someone comes into your life and she's just triggering you. Where they're, you know, people, we're assisting each other in releasing like really deep stuff, really cellular memories and deep wounds. And that does mean that sometimes, you know, you're gonna trigger your partner or someone you're dating, or your partner that you're dating is going to trigger you and really bring up these horrible wounds that you're like, why are you making me feel this way?
Yeah, for sure. Um, the most common, so we have hundreds of lives. I mean, we're ancient. And
Mm-hmm.
so in my sessions, when I look at past lives for people, a lot of the times when I'm doing like a person to person karma between relationships, a dynamic has played out where, and this is usually in like Victorian times or definitely an era where women were more just like figures.
Mm-hmm.
They're just stand-ins, and it's the woman has no voice and she's the possession.
Mm-hmm.
And that plays out in different time periods. And so when there's difficulties in relationships, people come to me, I see that and I'm like, whoa, like if you want this one to work, if you want to heal it in this lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it'll be the same partner or just someone else. It's you need to be seen and heard in your relationship. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's the magnitude, like we need to remember that, like if our partners are overreacting, it feels like,
Mm-hmm.
or if something is intensely coming, be like, whoa, I need to honor this because this could be some past life stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to let people have that time to process the emotion behind that. It's so important.
Mm. It's so important. And I wanted to ask you what your thoughts or opinions are about, like, you know, narcissists and relationships. Like, a lot of, I don't know why, but a lot of sensitive women do attract narcissists. And I was just wondering what your takeaway is on that.
Well, I've had plenty interactions with narcissists. I think that's how I even became a healer. Is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one thing after the other, and I now look at them as just a nice bag full of lessons because we have them, and narcissists are the perfect way to take back your power. So as many painful relationships we can have with them, that contrast, that
Mm-hmm.
polarity, it's there to show you your divinity.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't forget the narcissist relationships we're in. That kind of stuff stays with us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then we just see, whoa, like if I wasn't in that relationship, would I have accelerated as fast in my
Mm-hmm.
personal evolution? So that narcissist is still making their way from egoism
Mm-hmm.
into heart-centered consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're a good marker for
Mm-hmm.
your own path, but you know, that's I with the narcissism, like I think ascension, maybe why people are breaking up is because they're really being shown, whoa, like I can't be with this person, they're a narcissist, or
Mm-hmm.
where in myself do I hold these qualities, and
Mm-hmm.
what do I need to do to shift this?
Mm-hmm.
Because so many beautiful sensitive souls, empaths, are with narcissists, and that's like such the lethal combination of
Mm.
empath with narcissists, because you know they don't really feel what they're doing, and what they're doing to others. So definitely something to be aware about. But the good thing is there's a lot of material out there on like relationships, narcissists, also people who not just like romantic relationships, but people with narcissistic parents. Like maybe they haven't had a romantic narcissistic relationship, but they've
Mm-hmm.
experienced that vibration and that hurt
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
from another one in their lifetime. And so my advice is to continue to like honor your heart, your sensitivity. And when you see that, I mean, that's anytime you're in an abusive relationship, I say get out. I say,
Mm-hmm.
don't just say, wait, let me work through this with love. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, love can always be there. And the way it is there is by removing yourself
Mm-hmm.
from abuse. So, if you are in a narcissistic relationship, you are, this, and you have these like flare ups with conflict, I think that's time
Mm-hmm.
for you to go liberate
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
It's time to get
Nicely
sovereign.
put. Yeah, it's time to get sovereign, I think that's the theme of life right now. It's time to get sovereign. And so Ascension is here to accelerate that because we're going to
Mm-hmm.
live on a new earth as sovereign
Mm-hmm.
beings, right?
Woo-hoo.
So, right? So, if you need to experience that in the form of a relationship, hey, now's a brilliant time to do that because we're
I love
living
your
in a
perspective.
right in a beautiful time, right, where you've got plenty of access to healers and material out there on the
Yes.
internet. Like, um, I think everyone who takes a first step into healing is going to find how amazingly the universe will support you and
Oh,
provide.
so
So
much.
that's just
Yes.
always a good reminder.
That was such a beautiful dissertation you did about narcissism because I find that so many of the women that come to me have dealt with that, and I have dealt with that, and I'm like, wow, these beautiful, incredible women who are, and I'm not saying that women can't be narcissists, but I happen to get women clients who have
Mm-hmm.
that dynamic, um, and it's fascinating. I'm like, wow, it fascinates me. Because yes, like you said, there's an acceleration in pulling back power, pulling back
Mm-hmm.
personal power. And I think it's really also about creating sacred boundaries. Like I said earlier, like you can love someone and just be like, I absolutely love you with all my heart and soul. But I also I also have great honor for my being, and therefore I can't have you be doing this, you
Yeah,
know, on my watch. So, you know, go play elsewhere, but you're not going to find a playground here. Um,
absolutely.
it's hard. Those are really hard lessons. They are so excruciating, and I think so many times people come out of those kinds of relationships and think like, wow, like what's wrong with me? Like how could I, like, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a doctor or whatever, and I can't believe I could go in a relationship like that, and it has nothing to do with like your self-worth really. In a way, it has to do maybe with something you needed to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and just moving past it, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and I can honestly say one of the monumental moments in my life where I had to use my voice and set boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and really reclaim my power, that happened because a narcissist crossed too many lines. And I was changed
Mm-hmm.
forever for the better after that.
Mm. Wow.
After that, I entered my like no more bullshit timeline of life. Um,
I love that.
so it's really when we take that higher perspective, we just see,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, like compassion for the narcissists in our lives. Like, oh wow, like this person is really wounded, and that actually is really sad. And so I can actually have compassion for that person now, and just like hope that they take the steps needed
Mm-hmm.
to come away from, to heal that pain. Really, is what it
Wow.
is. So we come across with narcissists every day, and it's on the highest level about compassion, non-judgment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and an understanding, and then seeing what we take with that. There's so many lessons there: boundaries, self-love, self-worth. Like I think that
Mm-hmm.
having any type of relationship with a narcissist, so romantic, parent, even like
Mm-hmm.
authority figures, right, or teachers, like
Mm-hmm.
who, lessons galore. And And for me, I'm like, yes, lessons. It's like money. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's get these lessons. Let's get this going. I'm here to ascend.
I just love that about you.
Yeah.
I know. And I think that's where the adventure comes in,
Yeah.
right? Because it's easy to get stuck on a certain thing and be like, what, and just really dwell on the loss or the
Yeah.
pain or like, gosh, that hurt me so bad. I can never trust anyone again. And I think when you go through with the alien eyes,
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
exactly.
that was an interesting human experience, you know?
Yeah. Like cool. Like I don't need to experience that again on any planet, but
Yeah, on
cool.
any planet, any timeline.
Like right? I feel like the the sort of like the traumatic things I've experienced in this lifetime, like I did it right. Like fully cool, I'm fully traumatized. Now let me go heal this.
Yeah.
Got,
Mhm.
because like there's so much polarity that we're coming out of, and we did come to earth for the contrast, so it
Mhm.
makes sense that as we ascend to a new earth where it's just unconditional love, let's get those last bits of contrast that we
Ooh.
have now,
Yes.
also so that my crazy soul doesn't go try and reincarnate on another dimensional plane and do it all over again, because I probably would
Yeah.
for the adventure. So
I know. And we
yeah.
have. We've done that so
Mhm.
many times, like, through past life
Yeah.
regressions that we've done. We've
Yeah.
seen that, like, certain cycles over and over.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, honey, you're complete with that.
Yeah.
You're complete. Now we're ready to chill.
Yeah, I would like to chill.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful. I think this lifetime has been such an adventure. And I mean, looking through the eyes of an alien, I can see how exciting and how beautiful and how much contrast there's been. And then I can also say, and now I am ready to retire.
Yeah.
Retire from the drama. And I think relationships can be, I think I know I've been addicted to, like, relationships where there's heavy stimulation, but that could be negative stimulation,
Mhm.
right? Like fighting and then of course the great, sex afterwards. But I think that, like, we're coming out of that, where, or at least from my perspective, where, like, I crave something totally different. Like, I don't need that heavy contrast or that ping pong of energy. Like, I want to flow with my divine,
Yeah.
and feel like this synchronicity, and it's like a totally different elevated feeling, I think. But I think those experiences are really positive and really good, and like you said, it's all part of the process. So what advice would you give people who are maybe coming out of, like, really dark places with their relationships or with narcissists?
Yeah, well, like first of all, let's just say this. Conscious relationships can be hot. We don't need all
All right.
all the craziness. And
Mm-hmm.
but like joking aside, well, I wasn't joking, I meant that. But coming out of a a traumatic relationship with a narcissist, the first thing you need to do is feed yourself internally. Like you need to get in touch with that self-worth, because a narcissist takes that away. They feed off
Mm-hmm.
of that. They inflict wounds because they have wounds, right? There's that
Mm-hmm.
the saying of hurt people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like go into this self-care spa where you are
Ooh.
just loving yourself, getting in touch with that worth, that power, and that respect. Don't jump into another relationship where where you want to get those things from somebody else to heal the
Mm-hmm.
past one. So
Oh, that's
time,
good.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you got to give it that time. And with coming out of a relationship with narcissist too, you need to honor what happened and not just say, oh well, the higher perspective, I got my lessons, that's it. If you are in pain,
Mm-hmm.
if you are traumatized by it, you need to honor that. You need to cry, mourn, like
Mm-hmm.
feel the depths of that sadness to get ready to transmute it. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, you begin that sort of like self-love therapy. That's the first thing to get into.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so gorgeous. The elixir for the soul.
Yeah.
Self-love is the elixir for the
Mm-hmm.
soul, which we're going to talk about next time.
Yeah.
But that is such gorgeous advice. And um, Yeah, I mean, we're all growing, we're all learning, we're all coming to new parts of ourselves, we're all desiring new things. And I think it's important to take time to sit back and evaluate, like, okay, let me look at all the relationships I've been in, and now where am I with it? You know, what am I needing on a soul level, or even with myself? And yeah, not just trying to jump into another relationship so you can feed off of it and try to, you know, heal a wound. I think that's a really dangerous thing to
Hmm.
do, is to jump into a relationship because you're hurting from another relationship. That's about toxic as it gets, you know. You definitely want to take time, like you said, and go through even like the cathartic death process, because
Yeah.
once the relationship is over, there's a feeling of mourning and a great deal of loss, and you don't want to spiritually bypass that. You really want to go through the actual process. And you know, I think there's so much you can get out of these experiences, but we're all on our path, and we're all growing together, we're all learning together, and I think that's gorgeous. And I thank you so much, Susan, for coming on. I just love talking to you, and we could go on and on
We
forever.
can. Thank you for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to connect with you and to just have worked with clients for years. And there's just so much beautiful healing that we get to bear witness to. So I just love sharing
Mhm.
that, sharing the stories with you and what we've learned through the sacred work.
So beautiful. And you guys, I'm putting Susan's link below so you can access her website. She's a quantum sphere healer, and she's just an all-around badass. And so thank you. Thank you, my
Thank
love, for
you.
coming on. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.